Welcome back, Radio Row. Thanks to USAA, 125th Army-Navy game about to lift off. Eric Nordquist here, John Kriesel with me, and special guests including Mario Marquez, Executive Director, Government Affairs of the American Legions. Thank you so much for giving us time today.
Thank you.
And Nate Boyer, there's so many different things. The eclectic nature of your run is such, I don't even know how to introduce you. It's former Green Beret, it's long snapper, it's actor, director, producer. Is there one that you would like me to pick and just roll with?
You said a run. What my run? Last year I ran the Leadville 100, so ultra runner. You can just go with that.
Nate Boyer, ultra runner.
No, I mean, just call me, human being.
Nate, it is. Nate, absolutely.
Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, guys.
This is such a blast. Starting with you, Nate. What does this mean to you? Of course, your connection and career in the military, and now being able to enjoy this weekend, be a fan. It is go Army, beat Navy, and all of that. But your ability not only to be an advocate, but also be a part of the festivities this week. What's it like for you?
Oh, it's amazing. And this is not my first Army-Navy game, but I remember the first one I saw on TV and really paid attention to, and then the first one I was at. And, look, I've been to 3 Super Bowls, and it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. This is different. It's just that much more powerful because you know what these men on the field are about to go do. And just the pageantry in the stadium, from the march on to the flyover to the anthem to singing second if you win, to the emotion in the players, especially the seniors, the last time that they play the bad guys who they'd take a bullet for in a heartbeat, just like everybody in the stands, they take a bullet for.
They're the bad guys for a day, and
bad guys for
good guys the rest of the year.
Exactly. So it's so unique. I'm very glad and proud that they continued to make this game, even though it's weird with the conference championship the week before, to make it the last game of the regular season. You know what I mean? That is a special thing that needs to maintain somehow. And it's just, it is America's game. There's nothing like it.
Well, it's not just America's game, but the American Legion, of course, as connected hand in glove, not only with this weekend, but the armed forces in general. And, I guess just getting to know you, I feel like I'm leaving you short with such a generalized question, but coming here, Executive Director of the American Legion, Mario, tell me a bit about what this weekend means and how the American Legion does indeed fit so closely and tightly knitted to everything that's going on.
Sure. So as America's largest veteran service organization, the American Legion has come on as an affiliated sponsor. And so what a better organization than an organization that is made up of 1.6 million veterans, 105-year history, fully on board, reconnecting with our military academies to show that we, support our troops, we support our defenders of democracy, and that is what really being a veteran is all about. You want to make sure that your legacy is being carried on, and what a better way to do it than by supporting the very establishment as producing future generations of military leaders and also military veterans. And so the American Legions, we're back. We're reconnecting 5 generations of veterans from World War II to today's global war on terror veterans, which we both served in. I'm a Marine veteran. And, Nate and I have spent a lot of time together today, kind of talking trash, beating each other up a little bit, but also talking about how this bond brings us together for a really special cause. And just happy to be working here alongside with Nate and look forward to a lot more engagement.
100%. So I've been lucky to be on this. This is my second one. I served 10 years in the Army National Guard, served in Iraq. I don't think there's words that really put into perspective what it is like to be on the field. The pageantry, you said. Holding back tears, seeing both these teams about to do battle on the field, but then afterwards, they're shaking hands. They're back on the same team again. It's so special. It showcases the quality of these young men and women. But tell us a little bit about your service, just amazing bios.
Served in the Marine Corps 31 years. I retired as a Sergeant Major for 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force, which is the largest Marine Corps combat position force overseas. Spent a lot of time in the Middle East. Did 4 tours in Iraq. Nate and I served in some of the same grounds.
Camp Fallujah?
Camp Fallujah,
Oh, yeah.
Camp
Been there.
Al-Assad, all over. I served on one tour in an infantry company under the Army.
Okay.
That was a fantastic tour. I also spent a lot of time with Special Forces supporting ODAs in Yemen, Lebanon, Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places that, I can't really say, but it was a wonderful, amazing career. And when I retired, I had this thing where I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I understood what it meant now. I've served for so long, but now it's in me to serve. I have to find that next thing. And we've spent the bulk of the day talking about that today. And that's why I'm here today, is to give back, to serve, to provide opportunities for those veterans to land on their feet and continue to give back. And more importantly, to serve in positions of leadership and influence and show that veterans aren't broken.
Right.
We're here to serve, and we bring something to the game, and it's usually the A game.
So, Nate, you served as a Green Beret. Joined kind of late, too, right? You were how old? You were 23 when you signed up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but a late bloomer. And somebody mentioned that earlier, but I've absolutely been a late bloomer in pretty much everything I've done. Since I was a little kid as well. I didn't play football growing up, so it was a big regret that I had to quell later on in life. But, yeah, I joined at 23, and it was 3 years after 9/11. And when 9/11 happened, I remember being, 20 years old. I'd worked on a fishing boat for a little while and had moved up to Los Angeles from San Diego and was interested in the film and television world, and had no idea where to start, didn't know anybody, and didn't really work at it because I didn't know how to work yet. And I just kind of got to this place where I felt kind of lost and purposeless. And, my friends are graduating college and starting their lives, and I just didn't even know what I was really into and how to break out of this rut I felt I was in. And I went over and did some relief work in the Darfur region of Sudan, and it completely changed my life. And I got malaria. We connected on this too. Mosquitoes almost killed us both.
Yes. That's right.
And I was laid up in this bed. This Chadian family was taking care of me. They wouldn't take $1, and they didn't have anything, of course. And they're nursing me back to health, and they put a little radio next to the bed, and I'm listening to the Second Battle of Fallujah. And were you there?
I was north of Fallujah, but I was there during the battle. Yeah.
So, Mario and thousands of other Marines were the main effort in that battle. And I just remember hearing the play-by-play of everything, and I was like, I'm gonna join the military. I thought I was gonna be the Marine first, till the recruiter just wasn't the right guy. I went in the Marine Corps recruiting office, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. So I walked across the street to the Army, and ended up. That's what that made sense for me. But yeah, just hearing that and thinking of those young men and women that were over there fighting for those that can't fight for themselves, and that sense of purpose they must be feeling, and it just made sense for me next. This is what I'm meant to do for whatever reason. And, I was fortunate to serve in the Special Forces, as you said. And
but you say fortunate, it takes a lot of work to get there.
It does. But I don't want to say anybody could do it, but I think a lot more people could than realize. It just takes a lot of sacrifice. It's a choice you have to make every day when you wake up. And that's the same with serving in any part of the military. You have to wake up, and yet, people think, oh, you're just told what to do and you march around and follow orders. You have to be a self-starter at the end of the day. You have to make that choice. I'm going to show up, right place, right time, right uniform, right attitude, and outwork everybody else if I want to make it, And that's just, you got to have that mentality in any unit. But yes, it is, there's a high attrition rate in the Special Forces. Is certainly challenging. But, being able to get through the training and then, eventually go to Iraq and Afghanistan a couple of times, and just develop that belief in yourself that made me think that it wasn't crazy to go try and play college football at 29 years old, and really go for it, and then apply all the stuff that I learned from my military service, those intangibles to that. That's the only reason I made it, and that's the only reason I never would have tried if I hadn't served in the military.
So coming back from your tours, and after your career was over, and starting at college, playing college football, having never played a down of organized football, college sports especially Division I football, gets a little bit of a rap of they can be divas, they can be this or that, they can be a little pampered, especially a large program like you played
Things
in.
are nice at Texas. I'm not going to say they're not.
So what was it like being in that locker room as a 29-year-old? Did they gravitate towards you? How was that?
Well, I mean, at first it was weird.
Yeah.
And then part of that was on me because I probably just felt a little disconnected and wasn't quite sure how to, communicate with everything going on. And part of that is they're young, a lot, especially the freshmen. My freshman class, they're 18, 19, I'm 29. But
Well, we know who bought the beer.
yeah. Wow. So anyway, but you got to move past that, and then you sit down and talk to somebody. And I had this experience in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. When you get to know some of the Iraqis and Afghans you're serving alongside, that you may think you got nothing in common with, you end up having a lot more than you thought. And it was the same with these young men. And I'll say, there's a great amount of respect I have for student athletes because you have 2 full-time jobs. You're a full-time student, and some of these student athletes also have other jobs, to help. Yeah. They're not all getting all this NIL money, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's really impressive, and they grow up fast. You have to stay at that level, to compete in the classroom and certainly on the football field or whatever sport you're playing. It takes a lot, and a lot of those people are fit and should be, serving in the military because we need them.
Right.
We need those type of leaders and people that are around teams like that, know how to sacrifice and really work. But yeah, I learned a lot from them as well. And it ended up some of my best friends are guys I went to college with, even though with the age gap,
Sure.
I'm still very close with a lot of them.
That's fantastic. That is Nate Boyer. And we also have Mario Marquez, Executive Director, Government Affairs for the American Legion. Time for a couple of more. And Mario, earlier on, I think the way you put it is that the American Legion is back. And I guess in some ways, could you speak to, is the American Legion in some ways, is it almost a brand? Is it an advocacy source that, again, people just leaving the military now, maybe they don't look at that as an option or a resource? What is really important in terms of a message to many veterans? I'm not one, but John and so many others out there that are looking for community and groups and that family that the American Legion certainly could provide.
Sir, what I mean by the American Legion is back, and a lot of times veterans think about the Legion as a guy where the old guys hang out and drink beers at the bar, and that's all that happens there, the dark, gloomy bar. That's not the case. We've rebranded. We're attracting younger generations of veterans. We want to make and reassert ourselves back in the American society by connecting multiple generations of veterans. And so having a place for veterans to go and feel like they're a part of it. We have not only over 12,000 posts across the globe, but there's also online virtual posts. And so our younger veterans, they tend to gravitate towards the online activities. And so just making America know that we are an organization. We don't have the name veteran in our name, so sometimes it's not synonymous with the veteran community, like VFW or some of our partner organizations. But we've been around for 105 years. We're going to be around for a long time, and we're working with folks like Nate and others to make sure that people know who we are, what we do. We are the fabric of society. We are made up of everything in the American community, and so we're going to make sure we continue to be a part of that and give back to the nation.
My last thing, and I'll start with you, Nate, but kind of a question for both of you, is as you look at your respective academies and what you're seeing out of West Point, what you're seeing out of Annapolis, is this because I've just always been fascinated in recent years, and we've talked about it with a couple other guests. We went from a 20-year war to now where we got a whack-a-mole situation that's happening here, and I guess what has impressed you, Nate, about whether it's West Point and just kind of understanding how they're meeting this challenge with the young and bright minds in West Point, and from your standpoint, Mario, with the young men and women at Annapolis, like how they're meeting that challenge as things evolve on a global scale, and there's sadly no shortage of things for people to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I was fortunate to have dinner last night with a friend of mine who served in the most elite unit in the Army, right? We'll just say that. You can Google it and figure that out, right?
Yep.
And the amount of confidence that he has right now in some of the younger generations that are serving makes me feel good because it's not sure. You're not sure. You're living in a world where we see so much on social media, and sometimes you meet young people who grew up on these devices and don't have that connectivity, and it's not their fault, but they're a product of that. We're all products of our environment, and that can be a little concerning, maybe. But with him, kind of with this rest assured mentality, and then every time you come back to this game and you get to be around and see these young leaders who are going to go be great leaders in the military, it does give you that peace of mind and understanding, that, hey, maybe there's, there are certainly a lot of young people out there that don't understand the value that you get from the military as well. Like, you're not only needed by the military, but like it provides you with a different mindset and mentality and abilities, intangibles that you'll learn and be able to apply to the rest of your life. And you're going to be so much better at whatever that thing is you want to do because you did this. So I think that we need to continue that message, because that's super important, beyond, of course, serving our vets after. We need to have the right people serving, and we don't lower standards for that reason. You know what I mean? The military has standards. Most Americans are not fit for military service, and we can't change that. We have to make sure that you are meeting a personal standard to be one of us, you know what I mean, and vice versa. And so, anyway, I have a lot of confidence in that, and that makes me feel good. That makes me feel safe, because in a world, in a country especially, where there's a lot of voices out there, you hear a lot of negativity and a lot of division and all this stuff, knowing that there's still young men and women that are stepping up, taking the oath, and willing to defend. And a lot of these people are the right people. We just need more of them. It's good to know.
I would say the military has always been a microcosm of American society, and every generation of veteran thinks the next generation is weaker than we were. But I will tell you that today's physical standards in a lot of the services, a lot of us older guys would have not made the cut. And when you talk about the mind work that is required to do cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, space operations, and balancing kill chains and all kinds of things that contribute to making a decision to whether or not you're going to be the person who creates a nuclear war or took out an enemy covertly, that's a lot of responsibility on today's warriors. And these are the people that are coming out of our academies. It is up to us older veterans to mentor and engage and show them the ethics and things like that of why the military and your responsibility and obligation as a new military member is so important to us older veterans, keeping our legacy. But I am confident that they are carrying on everything that we've asked them to do.
And then at the end of it, knowing that when they get out of service, there are organizations like the American Legion to help them out, get them back on their feet, and to advocate for them in front of Congress to make sure that they're getting the benefits that they've earned through their service. And so we appreciate, as a veteran, I appreciate what the American Legion has done for me, and continues to do for others.
Thank you. I'd like to do a shout out to Minneapolis. We held our centennial back in 2019, their 100th birthday celebration at the National Convention. So thanks for having us as one of the shows today.
You bet. Thank you both for your service, and thanks for joining us here on Media Row.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's Nate Boyer and Mario Marquez, Executive Director, Government Affairs of the American Legion. Nate Boyer, ultra runner. Spending enough time with us, hanging out. These guys were so awesome. We are here at Radio Row. The 125th edition Army-Navy is kicking off, and we're just happy to be a part of it right here on The Fan.